way back. Goodbye, home run.
It's no secret that professional athletes are very, very good at what they do. And among those players, you have the best of the best. The best players in every sport, more likely than not, get rewarded with huge paydays to ensure that they continue to produce for a certain team. Some players pan out during their big contracts, making those paydays worth it. But in some cases, players can really disappoint after they sign a big contract. That's what we're going to be looking at today, because in this video, we'll be going over some of the worst contracts in Major League Baseball history. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and let's get right into it. Yoenis Cespedes, New York Mets. Now, keep in mind that this is not ranked, but Yoenis Cespedes is most likely the first name that comes to most baseball fans' minds when you think of a bad contract. And unfortunately, it isn't because of his skill. Cespedes burst onto the scene in 2012 with the Oakland Athletics after signing with the A's out of Cuba and coming second in AL Rookie of the Year voting, only behind somebody you might not have heard of, a guy named Mike Trout. Cespedes would go on to have a very solid 4-year stretch of baseball between the A's, the Boston Red Sox, the Detroit Tigers, and the New York Mets. Cespedes even had arguably the best outfield assist in baseball history with the A's in 2014. Funny enough, it was Mike Trout who ripped a ball down the left field line, and Cespedes made an error while trying to pick the ball up, allowing a run to score from first, or so we thought. As we see the camera cut to home plate, we see a ball flying towards the catcher's mitt. Cespedes absolutely hosed the runner and will forever go down in history for that throw alone. But that throw wasn't all that was historic about him. His 2016 season with the Mets was fantastic. In 2016, Cespedes had a .280 batting average with 31 home runs, 25 doubles, 86 RBI, and a .884 OPS, earning him his second All-Star appearance and his first and only Silver Slugger award. Because of this monster season, the Mets gave Cespedes a 4-year, $110 million contract to be their long-term left fielder. Unfortunately, injuries would derail Cespedes' career, and he would only play 127 games in 4 years after his 2016 campaign. Cespedes was solid in those 127 games, but his injuries would prove to be too much, as Cespedes would play his last game in Major League Baseball during the 2020 COVID season. Unfortunate. Cespedes was on pace to be a historic player in this league. Chris Davis, Baltimore Orioles. Chris Davis was definitely special in his prime. From 2012 to 2016, Chris Davis had a .249 batting average, 197 home runs, 130 doubles, 496 RBI, and a .858 OPS. In that time, Davis made 1 All-Star game, earned 1 Silver Slugger award, and led all of Major League Baseball in home runs twice, with 53 in 2013 and 47 in 2015. Orioles fans loved him, and the organization especially loved him. The Orioles loved Chris Davis so much, in fact, that they decided to make him the highest paid player in franchise history, signing Davis to a 7-year, $161 million contract in 2016. However, unlike previously mentioned Yoenis Cespedes, it wasn't injuries that derailed Davis's career. He just became flat out bad. From 2017 until his eventual retirement, Davis had an abysmal .185 batting average, only 54 home runs in 4 seasons, and a .615 OPS. This included a historic, record-breaking 0-for-54 stint between the 2018 and 2019 seasons. David retired in 2021 after those historically bad years in the midst of his contract. After his retirement, the Orioles restructured Davis's contract to avoid tons of dead cap space for years. From 2023 to 2025, Davis will be paid $9.16 million annually. From 2026 to 2032, Davis will be paid $3.5 million annually. And finally, from 2033 to 2037, Davis will be paid $1.4 million annually. A man who ended his career as one of the worst hitters in recent history will be getting paid annually until 2037. Baseball is awesome, not only because this is happening, but because he isn't the only player getting paid decades after his retirement. Bobby Bonilla, New York Mets. This contract has less to do with his play and more to do with how absolutely insane it is. We mentioned the contract that Chris Davis received, but nobody thinks of him when it comes to paying players after their retirement. That player is Bobby Bonilla, and for good reason. The New York Mets signed Bobby Bonilla to a 5-year, $29 million contract in 1991. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but it doesn't just stop in 1996. New York was still on the hook for Bonilla's contract in 2000 when they released him. New York still owed Bonilla $5.9 million. Instead of paying Bonilla the $5.9 million upright, Mets ownership instead agreed to defer Bonilla's salary with 8% interest and spread it across 25 years from 2011 to 2035. That all fell apart, however. Not the years, the paycheck. The scheme fell apart, and $5.9 million quickly became $29.8 million. And if you divide that $29.8 million by 25 years, that equals a $1.19 million paycheck for Bobby Bonilla every year until 2035. Bonilla was a good player for the Mets in his career, as in his tenure for the Mets, Bonilla had a .270 batting average, 95 home runs, 98 doubles, 295 RBI, and a .851 OPS in 515 games. But was it worth it? Was his 4 or 5 year production for the team worth paying him until he's 72 years old? Nobody knows. But Bonilla's contract gives every fan a reason to look forward to July 1st every year. It's a shame that this saga will end in only 12 more years. Other players have had some significantly bad contracts throughout Major League Baseball history, such as former NL MVP Ryan Howard, who signed a 5-year, $125 million extension with the Philadelphia Phillies that would take effect in the 2012 season. Unfortunately for the Phillies and Howard, the slugger tore his ACL on the last play of their 2011 season, an upset in the NLDS to the St. Louis Cardinals. Howard was never the same after this injury, meaning that his contract was a big bust. Another player that comes to mind is Pablo Sandoval. After a solid career with the San Francisco Giants, the Boston Red Sox signed Sandoval to a 5-year, $95 million contract. And let's just say the Sandoval fleeced Boston. Sandoval posted a horrific 5.96 OPS on this deal, while only appearing in about half of the games. In the end, Sandoval would make over $340,000 per hit. Insanity. That's it. Who do you guys think has the worst contract in MLB history? Did we forget anybody? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We hope you enjoyed. Be on the lookout for more content, as it's sure to come your way soon. See you guys in the next one.